980, thereabouts. So, I mean, there are also many variations. On the Southwest College form that was released, there was female indicated there with a social security number. We've not been able to independently verify the social security number. And there are many other variations across board. So at least we have a slant to where we are. Looking forward to the depositions. I think the deposition this afternoon will give a force to all of this document, and the lawyers will be able to interrogate. So like I said before, yes, a lot of people have said it's not going to go within the stipulated time. You can't file fresh evidence at the Supreme Court. Let's see how that legal process pans out. But for me, what I've always reiterated is the morality of the issue. The fact that it shouldn't be a big deal for somebody that is serving the highest office in the country to be able to allow the certificates to be released. It's not a big deal because there's a level of integrity. And for those that said, yes, make the argument, morality is not law, I just hope they can stand a highly immoral society when it starts to hit them.
I've been making the argument here that emotions and morality have no place in law. It's what they teach 100 level law students. When they teach introduction to law, they teach legal methods. Your teachers will warn you, don't come and write literature here. The law is what it is. Now, on request number 2, which is that the original certificate should be provided, the university stated that they have no access to that original certificate. Now, you cannot give what you don't have. If a student graduates, you give him a diploma and he goes away with it, there's no way you can have the original. So that's just simple common sense. Also drawing attention to certain discrepancies about gender, about qualifications for admission, and all of that. Okay, the question therefore is, are there smoking guns in what the Chicago State University has released? We cannot sit here and declare that there are smoking guns without a proper perusal, examination, of what has been provided. The only caveat to that is that the same Chicago State University said certain discrepancies that have been observed were as a result of clerical error.
Anything that want to kill a dog, we first take away the sense of smell. What is after Tinubu was what made him to try to create a new identity for himself, sole identity, and started to involve himself in a way of trying to meander his way to the top by breaking up protocols and committing several crimes. The truth is, what is going to destroy this country inevitably is the way we are attending to this matter now. Go write this thing down. This is prophetic. If Tinubu had known that all these things he has done those years would come to start to fight him now, maybe he would have used a different approach. And if Nigeria knows that what we are constituting now, this passive, carefree, careful, sentimental, emotional approach to a serious matter like this will cost us the glory of this country. But some persons don't care. For them, it is their tribe or their sentiment that should be appreciated. And I carefully waited for this particular conversation between Rufai and Abati to confirm the independent media sources that alleged that the presidency has quenched the effort of mainstream media to taking this matter up. In fact, just even before this Chicago State University released the document to Atiku's lawyer, there were independent media information that media houses were in meetings at certain places with certain persons. Only People, Gazette, and some reporters were excluded from that meeting, so to speak. That's what we heard. And then, so don't blame Rufai. This is not the Rufai that we used to know. But of course, you see, made it very clear. The issues about morality, right? We would have seen more, but it's okay. He works in mainstream and is understandable. But don't worry, in no distant time, God will empower people around, keep them safe, take them to environment to be able to launch their own media ideas and dissolve matter the way it's supposed to be. So, but it's painful that someone like Dr. Rufai Abati, who has also been trained, educated, will come on national TV and make excuses for the corporate and focus on the system. No lies. I'm one of those that have criticized our systemic failures over the years. But when you spend more time, 99.9% of the time, discussing about the systems, discussing about the peripherals, and you ignore the main issue, the main cruise, the crux of the matter, I'm saying you are bothered more about the water that was given to you to drink, the fork that was given to your hand for you to use to eat, the environment, the plate, and you left the issue of what, the food. Why are we the same? This same system is what has given birth to why we call stealing corruption in this country. Only in Nigeria, corruption is supposed to be an activity that you perform to aiding or abetting a particular evasion so that it will favor you or any other person. But people are stealing money from national treasure and we call it corruption in this country, so that the sentence or the outlook or the information or the punishment or the reception, the anger will not be heavy. So they call it corruption, whereas it's actually thief, stealing. That's what Rufai Abati is doing here. They are playing around, say the system should have, the system should have. What about the culprit, the criminal? It's okay. The system should be able to reprove and punish criminals. Well, can't you tell this criminal this is a crime? I don't want to even talk too much. It's okay. God will help this country, and it's from the way it's looking, we are on a fast lane to destruction. Very fast, and we are running so fast. The speed at which we are running to destruction, it will be studied in Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge, and several other schools. How a country failed woefully. There is no hope. Watch this video of Rufai and Dr. Rufai Abati. Share this video. You know why I say we keep sharing videos? When the time comes, we'll have this as testament to prove that we tried our best. The only politicians that depend on this country, you and I. When we see truth, we cover our mouth. Even if I had supported Bola Tinubu, upon the revelations that came out from this document, a woman, Abimbola Adenike, you say you went to Government College, Lagos, that was later established 4 years after you graduated, excuse me. And they say it doesn't matter. Tinubu in 20, and Abati is saying that what the main cause of the Mohbad matter, we have left it. Excuse me, leadership is everything rise and fall on leadership. If our president, that is supposed to be country's president, cannot be said to be somebody that is morally and legally qualified to contest with the office of president, even though INEC and the court has empowered him with our weak constitution, and you say we should keep quiet about that and focus on Mohbad. If we had a system that was working, we will not be on the streets asking for more. A system that is working would have effectively handled this matter. By now, Nigerians will be sleeping. It will not take days, but it's been weeks now. Because leadership has been built on evil, criminality. So why would criminal element not continue to? Is it not the same Naira that is ambassador today? In civilized country by now, the NDLEA would publicly disclaim that Naira has been suspended pending further investigations. That's the country that we are in. God bless you, Rufai. God bless you. God will protect you. You are in between lions and tigers, vampires, and then you are still able to make up your mind to do what you can do. God will protect you. God will protect everyone. I want to watch this video. I'll catch you later.
So finally, they've released the certificate, but I think it's also incumbent on us to wait for depositions today.
Yeah.
To be able to see how the deposition process go. And like a lot of people had touted before, there were cases of variations, as regards logo of the certificate. And I'm sure the both legal teams will be able to fashion out their interpretations to all of this released. There were also cases of variations, and when you check the documents further, there was also a case as regards the school attended.
Yes.
Government College, Lagos, said it finished in 1970, but there's also been facts and checks that indicates that Government College didn't start up until 74, and I think their first set came out in 79, 80, thereabouts. So, there are also many variations. On the Southwest College form that was released, there was female indicated there with a social security number. We've not been able to independently verify the social security number. And there are many other variations across board. So at least we have a slant to where we are. looking forward to the depositions. I think the deposition this afternoon will give a force to all of this document, and the lawyers will be able to interrogate. So, like I said before, yes, a lot of people have said it's not going to go within the stipulated time. You can't file fresh evidence at the Supreme Court. Let's see how that legal process pans out. But for me, what I've always reiterated is the morality of the issue. The fact that it shouldn't be a big deal for somebody that is serving the highest office in the country to be able to allow the certificates to be released. It's not a big deal because there's a level of integrity. And for those that say, yes, make the argument, morality is not law, I just hope they can stand a highly immoral society when it starts to hit them. Because an highly immoral society is a reflection of a society where there's a complete breakdown of law of honor, all that. And when there's a complete breakdown of law and all that, anything can happen. In the words of Donald Trump, I can shoot somebody down on Fifth Avenue and nothing will happen. So that means people can commit egregious crimes. And that's not the kind of society we want. So we still need to make that argument for morality, as people also make the argument for legalese. And it also has to be said, the school talked about the fact that they cannot locate the certificate. I've been able to ask around. Normally what is said is that once one certificate is issued and that's just it, and that what you will get afterwards if you lose it is a replacement certificate. And that's what Mr. Tinubu claimed in his deposition to INEC, that he swore under oath. But all of these are interesting times for Nigeria. So there are more questions that will be asked. Why the female there? He's argued that it was clerical error. Whose social security number is that? There's more investigation that needs to be made. Why the discrepancies and the variations in the paper put forward? One thing is certain, this conundrum will continue for a while until we are able to get logical conclusion by both legal team, making due interpretations. But we must have a society where everything is laid bare on the table.
Okay, let me start with this. I've been making the argument here that emotions and morality have no place in law. It's what they teach 100 level law students. When they teach introduction to law, they teach legal methods. Your teachers will warn you, don't come and write literature here. The law is what it is. So lawyers don't moralize. They follow the rules, they follow the principles, they follow substantive law. And if you are in court, you follow procedural law. But substantive law is superior in most instances to procedural law. These are basic principles that any elementary student of law will understand. However, there's a principle called open justice. The principle of open justice, in the explanations, in the literature, says that, look, for you to have justice, yes, you can, pay attention within the open forum to personal opinions of people. And that is why you have this justification. Everybody is now, commenting on different aspects of it. Because what is the purpose of the law? The purpose of the law is to modulate society and to, ensure the progress of society under the rule of law, so that you don't have a Hobbesian system. So that participation, that's why people can review cases, review statements from the court of law. However, let's come to the substantive matter. Now, the discovery for use that Waziri Atiku Abubakar and the PDP embarked upon in the United States. Yes, yesterday, the CSU, Chicago State University, has now complied with the ruling of the Courts of Justice, Judge Gilbert and Judge Nancy Maldonado, and has met the deadline. Now, a 32-page document is out there from the school. Now, on request number 2, which is that the original certificate should be provided, the university stated that they have no access to that original certificate. Now, you cannot give what you don't have. If a student graduates, you give him a diploma and he goes away with it. There's no way you can have the original. So that's just simple common sense. Now, the person involved now says, okay, there was a fire incident, he lost his documents and all that. So he asked for a replacement certificate. Most people will tell you, please make sure you don't lose your certificate. It's always not very easy to get a replacement copy. When we were leaving that program in Oxford, they told you, please, we don't replace certificates. Keep your certificate very well. The best you can get, if it's an examination program, is to get your transcript. So all those documents that have now been provided, I've seen quite a number of commentaries, front page of This Day Today, drawing attention to certain discrepancies A piece by Farouk Perogi also drawing attention to certain discrepancies about gender, about qualifications for admission, and all of that. Okay, the question therefore is, are there smoking guns in what the Chicago State University has released? We cannot sit here and declare that there are smoking guns without a proper perusal, examination, of what has been provided. The only caveat to that is that the same Chicago State University said certain discrepancies that have been observed were as a result of clerical error. But there will be a deposition today by a CSU designer who is going to appear before the court and defend some of these issues, I guess under interrogation. And, many of these issues will come up and we'll probably have more clarity. Now, the second point is that even if there are smoking guns, of what weight, of what relevance would all of this be before the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Imagining that the team, the Atiku Abubakar team, continues to quote Order 2 of the Supreme Court rules. The question would then be, the second question, beyond the smoking gun issue, would be, can the order of court, which is procedural, can it be superior to what substantive law says, particularly in the Electoral Act, and also, in the Constitution itself, which I tried to explain yesterday about the efflution of time. Number 3 point, beyond these two that I have made, is that, look, I still stand by the point that, look, at the end of the day, all of this may serve no purpose other than the fact that the Atiku camp has been able to go on a voyage of discovery, and has brought up these issues that people are playing up within the public domain, okay, for basic reasons. This whole point about, open justice, the public interest, the interest of the electorate, and all of that, beyond legalism, as Osita Chidoka has argued in another issue. And I go to the point raised by Osita Chidoka. Osita Chidoka raised the point about the value of our institutions. Why is it that to authenticate, to find little details about somebody's qualification, we have to be relying on a foreign jurisdiction to embark on a discovery for use? After all, when you apply for a position, you fill for a form, right? And you even go for security screening. They tell you that the security agencies have looked at your documents. Now, this is a comment on the value of our own institutions. And they've been at it. So they are ineffectual. And I think that point is a moot point. Another point that Osita Chidoka raised is that, look, for future purposes, we will have to resolve all these issues about qualification, about age, and all of that before anybody is sworn in. And that's why I keep saying, I hope some people are taking notes and trying to see what can we learn from all of this. The number 5 point, I think I've reached number 5 point that I would like to make, is that, okay, all of a sudden, I even find all of this very suspicious. Where all of us are running after a certificate, which grade, which this, and all of that. Major issues of the day have been abandoned. The naira to the dollar now is over 1,000 naira. Many parents are already withdrawing their students from schools abroad. There is a strike that Labour promised that has not happened. We've now been told that we should wait while we continue to deal with the crisis that we're talking about. Even the issue about Mohbad, that everybody, including superstars in Nollywood and elsewhere, got involved in. Nobody is talking about Mohbad now. Everybody is looking for Tinubu's certificate. Tinubu's certificate. It's a comment on the state of our nation. That sometimes we get distracted. We don't focus on the big issues. We don't, concentrate on things that matter. Altogether, I'm not saying one should be to the exclusion of the other. I'm not saying one should be to the exclusion of the other. But we seem to be dropping our eyes. We seem to be taking our eyes off the ball. These are the issues. Maybe in 2027, when President Tinubu says he wants a second term, if these issues do not go away, in 2027, right? That's the next election, right? Yeah, these issues will again surface. And one way or the other, we need to reform the electoral process. We will need to take a second look at the electoral framework on some of the lessons that we have so far extrapolated from this. But, all the other issues about what will likely happen at the Apex Court, I've outlined them. And those going about Order 2 of the Supreme Court, no, substantive law will probably override procedural law at the end of the day.